The picks and bans.
Yeah, we'll get to see. Will there be a Maleen pick or will it be banned away? It's going to be banned away, and no surprise. But Qlash going to be more than happy to go ahead and grab themselves that Lyra as their first pick.
Wow. Turnwalker Adagio. That's a little bit different from the meta that we know. Bold moves by Queso. I'm assuming this is a matchup that they are very confident going into. There's a lot for them to prove. They want to be that #1 team. They were definitely thought to be the #1 team coming into this preseason. Qlash right now, they're the ones sitting undefeated.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of plan in mind. For you to go Turnwalker Adagio, I mean, the Turnwalker, yes, I understand. Like, that's a pick that a lot of teams have been starting to put a little bit more focus on. But Adagio's been let through, I think, every single draft. I don't think there's been a draft where he's been banned, and if he has been picked up, it's usually very, very late. So the fact that they let Reza through, they've now let Celeste go through. There's a lot of very strong picks. Samuel is still available as well. There's so many power picks that can be snatched up by Qlash. You see, they already got the Reza. You know, now they still have that chance for a Celeste unless Queso take her here. But with the Turnwalker and the Adagio, typically when Adagio is being played outside the captain role, he's in the mid lane. So I'm very interested to see where they decide to go with this composition.
Brilliant, brilliant drafting by the side of Qlash. When I went back and watched the VODs from yesterday, and I saw how frequently Reza was being banned out in that second ban phase, the fact that they have now picked Reza in that first pick phase, that means that no matter what mage Queso decides to take for that backline, they are now going to have the best engage dive hero to just be able to deal with that however they want, whether it's Queso go Varia, whether it's Queso go Celeste, Qlash picking up the Scarf. They're going to be able to get onto that backline no matter what, and they have Lyra to portal in on top of that.
So my question here is, where is Celeste? Why is Celeste not showing up in this draft? We are getting very deep into this one. I mean, Qlash, I don't think they draft her at this point with Reza and Scarf. Really, it's all up to Queso if they want to pick the Celeste up, and they are going to do that. Move the Adagio probably to that bottom lane, maybe get the weapon Adagio that we saw a little bit of in towards the end of 3v3, but this is very interesting drafting to me from Queso.
Yeah, definitely. Both these teams, they probably have studied each other, know each other very well, understand what their comfort picks are, and once you know a team to that level, you definitely want to make sure you're mixing things up, catch them off guard, play a little bit of a different meta than what you've been doing in scrims to try and gain the upper hand in the draft, because this is really the first opportunity for these teams to set the stage and set the tone before the game even gets started.
So with the Skye ban away there, I think it's a very smart ban because, again, you want to protect your backline, and Skye is one of those heroes that can dive onto the backline extremely effectively, get past it, and there's not a lot of crowd control from the side of Qlash. The only concern I have with their composition currently is, they're going to be relying on just kind of slows, a silence, and a bulwark. That's really all they have for protection, but they're not really focusing on protection. It's all about just having a ton of damage on your side and just killing your opponents before they can kill you.
Yeah, the Poison Shiv on Vox is going to be very important to make sure he is mitigating as much of the barrier coming out of Rona whenever she jumps into these fights. Qlash is definitely going to be looking to kite back whenever possible. Tony being picked up, so now they have the Tony and Lyra combination. They could go with the carry Lyra. We have seen that out of Qlash. Probably going to be the carry Tony,
Yeah,
though.
The only reason I wouldn't expect the carry Lyra here is because they do have Reza and Scarf already for the crystal power. Going with that Tony as a weapon carry would give them the double weapon carry as well. And then a Gwen to round out the composition for Queso. We saw Gwen actually getting banned a lot late in the drafts yesterday. So I'm sure Queso's going to be happy to get that one. But their composition, definitely a few more question marks for me. It feels like they have a much more difficult composition to execute on when it comes to the team fighting.
Speaking of execution, we have to make sure that Leon on the side of Qlash is on top of his game, making sure he is still shot calling exactly what this team needs to be successful. When he calls go for these turrets, this team commits 100%. They're always on the same page, and it is absolutely phenomenal. His mechanics, if he is in this carry role again today, are going to play a huge factor. Queso definitely one of the most dominant teams as far as mechanics go in Europe. Hopefully going to see some good things out of him here today.
And like we talked about, if I'm the Doom is not playing today, that means that there's a very high chance that Leon is going to be in the carry role. So it is going to be Justman actually playing with them. So it will be Leon in a carry role. But on the other side, we have to look at Tyriz. Tyriz is one of two players on the side of Queso that ever since their first game have not died a single time. That is an unbelievable stat for their, and it just speaks volumes to how well this team has been playing since that first matchup. In case Tyrus and Techno JJ both have had phenomenal positioning, but I'm going to be focusing on Tyrus a little bit more here just because of that jungle pressure that we need to see coming out, especially against a team like Qlash, who's all about the rotations. The jungle rotations are just as important on the other side to be in the right position, going to the right lane at the right time in order to stop those hard 5-man pushes.
It's definitely to be expected for a lot of these players. First match of the season, have a little bit of jitters. Now that we're over the halfway point, they're a lot more comfortable. They've built this synergy that's as to be expected for such a new game mode. Definitely, they need to make sure they're bringing their A game, and hopefully he has the confidence that he needs in order to be successful here today.
Yeah, and again, you can see it there on your screen. 0 deaths since their first game. That is just unheard of for these guys. And I don't think that's going to continue here today. I would assume both of them would fall at least once, but we'll find out if they can keep that unkillable streak alive as we head into our very first game of the day.
Thank you very much, Tasty Bacon. Welcome to the European VPL Preseason Invitational. It's the big one here, Stress. Qlash versus Queso, the rematch of ages. And Queso looking for that sweet revenge.
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to see, the matchup between these two. Unfortunately, a few subs coming out from both teams, but that doesn't change the fact it is a matchup for the top of the table. We've got an invade onto the Crystal Tree in here, 3 versus 2 for Team Queso. Should be able to take this.
Yeah, it is going to go over to Queso. Did look like Disown tried to get a cheeky steal with the Scorcher passive combo. Doesn't happen. Palmatora and Hegman invading on the bot side, and Leon's coming in for this assist. There it is, first blood for the carry. Scarf. Hegman now running, and he will just run straight out on that Churnwalker with the boots. But first blood to Leon is a good start for Qlash.
Okay, this is a great time to talk about some macro strategy when it comes to team play. If you're making a play on the top side with an invade, don't make a play on the bottom side. That's typically how you play the map. You play reserved on one half if you're aggressive on the other when you're at a numbers disadvantage. In that situation, you just saw Queso make a good play top and then invade needlessly on the bottom side. Sure, you want to try and pressure out a little bit of that weapon buff, but it's unsafe to do so if you don't know where everybody on Qlash is, and that's exactly what they get punished for.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff coming out of Leon just to be able to rotate down to the bot side in that scenario and make sure that Qlash gets that first blood, that little bit of gold back into their systems here. It's important to talk about those substitutes. Stress, you brought it up. Justman coming in as the substitute for that captain position. So Leon going to be moving to fill I'm the Doom's presence in the mid lane. Yesterday, we did see Leon move back into the carry position and play that Vario so well. Had a really big performance, but Qlash did look a little bit messy with Leon in that carry position, so it might be a little more difficult to shot goal when you're not the captain player.
Yeah, just a little bit messier, and we're going to see an engage on the bottom side here as well as Hegman, taking a lot of damage up front.
And Nettelet very low. Carl on this Tony will boots right out of there. We do see Justman in position to try and heal up. Leon's roaming though, coming down the lane. Can he get into position to find the kill? Goop lands, but the Spitfire doesn't. Carl gets pulled under the turret, and it is a 1-for-1 trade. Hegman securing that kill just before Palmatoro does lose his life there. And whilst this all happens, Queso once more invading. Hundor and Tyras taking away the jungle as rotation. This is something they just do so well. And that stat that Tasty Bacon brought up pre-game, the fact that Tyras and Hundor just have not died, I believe, since that first game, it shows that they're really playing a very clean game since their last Qlash match.
Yeah, a lot cleaner, and I think that's one of the things you look at Queso, the team that I would say seem to be improving week on week. It's hard to judge by how dominant a split we have when you look at if you split the table in half, basically the top and the bottom half, there's quite a disparity between the teams. But look, Queso going on the invade again for the second Crystal Tree. They got the first one. This is 4-man now. No chance really of Qlash holding on to this, but maybe not quite. No, Qlash don't manage to secure their own.
So I wonder if Qlash do try to make a move onto the enemy Crystal Tree. It feels like it would be too late of a reactory play if they do want to do this. This is really good aggression coming out of Team Queso so far, as they've been able to really hold Qlash back on their macro game. And this is something that I was really wondering how 3.2 would really change up the way Qlash played early, because on 3.1 they were super aggressive early, really invading as a unit. Justman maybe overstepping here, has to run away from Hegman's clown Churnwalker here. But Team Queso just continuously pressing, and it's really just Tyrus and Hundor becoming that two-man raid squad.
Yeah, and you have to look at it. I think the Churnwalker is actually a good pick for that precisely because it disrupts so much. We already saw in that bottom lane exchange and now around the Crystal Train, like, you have to rethink how your engage goes because you're not in control of your own destiny anymore. You can get pulled back into a tower, that type of thing. And especially when paired like an Adagio and other heroes, you can get a lot of healing out. And like, this is a very disruptive composition that Queso are bringing to the table. Very different to what we typically have seen.
Queso so strong towards this topside jungle here, continuously pressuring Carl here, trying to put him behind. Leon's in a bit of trouble. Hegman gonna land that hook, pull him back. Good block comes out of Justman with the Crucible to keep Leon alive for now, but that's a lot of damage. And a Solar Storm to find the kill. Tenno JJ's a monster. And then up in the top lane, it's Tyrus and Hundor taking a turret. Team Queso have really put Qlash on the back foot.
Yeah, this is the exact opposite of the first time these two teams met. It was Qlash taking Queso by surprise in the first encounter. This time around, it is Queso coming out with a much more early game strategy. You can see they've got a lot more focus on how to play this first few minutes of the game, and that really hadn't been developed. They played the first game of the Preseason Invitational, so you kind of got to give it to the teams now that the meta is settled. This feels a little bit more like Queso's ball game.
Yeah, Dazone trying his best to keep that tier 2 turret alive in the top side, but it will fall. That's another huge amount of gold going over to the side of Team Queso, 21.5 to 17 at this 6-minute mark. It really is just sitting on the back of Tyrus and Hundor. As soon as Queso decide to queue up as 4 and really start pushing with that Celeste Churnwalker in that battle, Qlash are going to be in a really strange spot. And it's worth noting that on this 3.2 update, the Ghostwing is so much more impactful for those turret pushes.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Easier to take as well. And when you look at Queso, if they can maybe get like the one hook here, get an individual pick, they've got the experience advantage, they've got a bunch of damage in their fold right now. They can just move towards Ghostwing and take that just off one kill alone. There's no real way of Qlash fighting back. They still have a member at level 5 as Justman Celeste. Lyra doesn't quite have that full strength. So there's a lot of options available for Queso, and they're actually just going to go with it without a pick. Normally, this is a bit of a risky strategy when it's 5 versus 5 to go for a global objective, but they are so far ahead right now that there's no real threat.
Yeah, that's going to go over to the side of Team Queso. They get that buff for themselves. That's going to be an engage coming out of Hegman. Carl and Justman very low. Solar Storm rips through, does a lot of damage. The Spellfire is ticking, but Justman will just about survive. Throws out one more sigil to keep Leon healthy before he tries to backport to the Sanctuary. Team Queso with all the cards in their deck right now. The mid turret will fall for themselves. 3 turrets to 0 so far, and Qlash just can't get on the board.
Yeah, now Queso are looking for the bot side. Vox may be able to escape just from the mobility alone, but they're looking for the tower more than anything, rather than the kill. It's not necessarily important, but look how quickly he just gets disintegrated in the bottom lane. That's a Vox, that's a mobile hero, just instantly caught, instantly dropped, and that's going to be another tower going over to Queso.
Yeah, 3-man push, nothing they can do about that. You see Qlash doing their best to try and get some damage onto that mid lane turret, but soon Tenno JJ and Hundor pop into the lane and scare Qlash back. It is only 5 kills in this game, but the difference in power is tangible. Queso just completely unstoppable in their terrain right now. And Justman getting caught out by that Churnwalker. Palmatory doing enough damage. Tyrus, lots of damage taken as he tries to take that tier 2 turret down. Is going to be able to get away, but oh dear, Leon caught between a rock, a hard place, and a gold oak will fall. Queso following their 4th kill here, all grouping up in that mid side, potentially looking to try and take that tier 2 turret.
Justman is still level 5. He hasn't even been able to get into this game. Like, that's how difficult it's been.
Jumps in, dies very, very quickly there. Qlash potentially not on the same page, and this could be the tilt coming through for these players. It is worth noting that they are playing with Justman. I'm the Doom's not here. Technically, Disowned is a substitute for them as well. So as far as the team is concerned, potential loss of the battle before the game started mentally. But right now, Queso is rubbing salt into the wound.
Yeah, I think both teams would say, hey, we weren't necessarily at full strength coming into this game as well, as both sides are playing with at least one member changed for Queso. It is what it is, though. You have to play a game today, right? Somebody's got to win this, somebody's got to lose. Unfortunately, having to come in with substitutes, but still, it is the preseason. It is where we're seeing teams change up rosters. So if anything, playing with subs might not be the worst thing a few weeks down the line when we actually do hit the VPL, when subs have some in-game experience and not just scrim experience. So both teams, I think, are going to learn something from this game, regardless of who ends up becoming a victor.
Certainly. 10-minute mark rolling around, and Qlash doing their best to tunnel this one out. Hundor getting caught, stunned, takes half his damage, and there's the ult coming through. Bada bing, bada boom. But Hundor doesn't care. Hundor doesn't care whatsoever. He's just going to take all the kills. 2 come through. A turret destroyed in the bot side. Qlash losing on all fronts, and even a good engage coming out of the Carl just doesn't mean anything for Qlash.
It's such a weird position to be in. We haven't seen a whole lot of Gwen recently, but everybody forgets how good she can be in the start of the game. Yes, she does get outscaled by quite a lot of the other carries, but you know, at this point in the game, 3-0-2, the game's wrapping up pretty quick. It's not really a problem for them, and now they can go for a second Ghostwing of the game. Like, this is probably the Ghostwing that sets up the finish. We know that Black Claw's spawning earlier on 3.2 as well. Like, this is everything that Queso need in order to wrap the game up.
All 3 inner turrets are gone, just those armory turrets remaining here, Stress, and a minute left until the Black Claw graces us with her presence on the Sovereign's Rise as well. 3 minutes earlier on the spawn time for 3.2 just gives Queso even more tools to finish this game early.
Yeah, I was so far early into the game that I calling it Ghostwing instead of Black Claw. Doesn't matter what it's called because Scarf isn't going to be around to see it at this point as Leon ends up falling. This is going to be the Armory Tower now under a lot of damage.
Oh my goodness, all the damage coming out from Team Queso as this turret will not stand a chance with the new Ghostwing buff. Tyrus jumps in looking for Disowned, but Justman able to save him. Carl potentially not going to get saved here as Hundor takes his life. That armory is melting, and Team Queso are onto the Vein Crystal at just 12 minutes. Pre-12 minutes into the game. Black Claw hasn't even spawned, and Queso will find the revenge over Qlash.
Yeah, that's the revenge in the preseason invitational. I'm interested to see when these two teams are at full strength, but certainly there was a lot of strength coming out of Queso in this one. Earlier game strategy and just dominated the early game. Like, that was a very